Hi and welcome to the Vetstory Podcast, home to the most outrageous stories told in VetMed. It's raw, it's unfiltered, unscripted, unedited, just raw, off-the-cuff stories. I'm your host, Reece Generelli, and if you're in the VetMed space in any capacity, and you have a story like this, I want to hear it. So get ready to have a laugh, eyes on the road if you're driving, close the doors, and enjoy the show. Hello, today I am joined with Esteban Sotomayor. I think I pronounced that correctly. Did I pronounce that correctly, Esteban?
You're good. Close That's
enough. It. You can correct me. But Esteban comes from Ecuador, and he's got a story that I'd love for everyone to hear. But before that, Esteban, tell me whereabouts you're from exactly, and what do you do?
Well, I'm from Ecuador, South America. I live in a city called Quito. It's the capital of Ecuador. It's a small country of 19 million inhabitants. I own the first 24-hour hospital here. Actually, right now in this November, we just turned 25 years of being open for 24 hours. So it's been 25 years since we started this family business. Now my dad is retired. I'm running the hospital. My dad was a vet. I'm not a vet. I have a lot of background on business and marketing and an MBA. And then I took over, and then I started to fix all the small situations that, all the administrative and business parts that we always need to fix whenever we start running a family hospital. So that's a little bit of what I do. I just earned this year also my CBPM from the BHMA. I just also got a certified as the business leader from the NAF. So I'm really trying to get in contact with you guys over there. I'm trying to be that connection, that link between the north side and the south. And as we have been able to discuss in previous meetings, we have the same issues, is the same things, but basically in different parts of the world. So that's a little bit of me.
Yeah, that's right. So let's go back a little bit. Your father was the first person to open up that hospital. Is that correct? 25 years ago?
Actually, it is, but I'm the third generation involved in the veterinary field. So my grandfather was a veterinarian. My dad's a vet. And now I decided to take the other route. But yeah, I'm the third generation involved in the veterinary industry.
So were you a disappointment to dad?
Dude, that's the funny part. Like for my dad, he was okay. Because I remember that we had that talk when I was like around 16, 15. And I was like, Dad, we can hire vets. Don't worry, we can hire vets. But it's really hard to hire owners or general managers. So we can hire those vets. Don't worry, I'll run the hospital. So he was fine with that. Yeah, I think he liked the answer. But when I went and told my grandfather that I was not going to study veterinary medicine, I could still remember his face of disappointment, and he just knelt down, and he was like, okay, but you need to promise you're going to get a PhD so they can call you doctor. So that's something that I still.
Have you got there yet? You haven't yet.
I haven't done it. I'm trying to figure it out sometime. Probably in the next year, I'll be starting it. We'll see how it goes.
Fantastic. I mean, I know you and we've met before, obviously, but tell the audience, where did we meet?
We met at the BHMA annual conference. We had the chance actually to chat a lot. The good thing is that we stay an extra day or so, that we were able to see the city. So that actually allowed us to talk a lot more of all the personal, in a much more personal level, not just the business level.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the things that I took the most from the BHMA conference. Once meeting you, getting to know your point of view, the way that you work in Canada. I love the way that you're super straightforward and the way that you think and you problem solve. So that's how we met. I really enjoyed talking to you, having a few drinks together, of course.
Yeah.
It was
right. Can't get fun. Be a good conference without a few drinks.
Of course. That was the best.
I got a little bit rowdy there at some point. Okay. Now, I know you have a story for me. And for the audience, let's kick off our very first podcast with a great story. I'm going to leave it to you, and I'm just going to enjoy. Feel live, Esteban.
Perfect, perfect. Well, I'm gonna tell you a little bit of my story on my side of growing up in a veterinary hospital.
Yeah.
How was my life as a since I was a baby? I was always in the hospital. For example, my naps were in the pet shop at the pet shop that we had. On
You
top
were
of
set at the shop?
Yeah, the pet shop inside our hospital that we had a pet shop, and we had all the foods laying there, and that was my little crib. That's where I
That was your bed?
yeah, that was my bed. The school bus would drop me at the hospital, so I'll do my homework there. I will play there. I will eat there. I will sleep there. My sleepovers were there, so whenever my dad had something to do at night, they will drop me in and they will take care of me. So I really had the chance to see the evolution of the hospital and getting to know all the different aspects since I was super small. And I also had a great time. Like I'll tell you another extra story that comes into play. I also own a company that sells and distributes veterinary equipment. So I also was really involved in the equipment side since I was really, really young. And my dad always took me to the BMX to Orlando's conference. So that's when I started to know a lot of people in the industry, especially in Latin America. So yeah, I saw my dad opening the hospital, trying to find equipment for the hospital that we imported from different countries, trying to find ways to fix the administrative part of and find ways to get the managerial work together and running the hospital. When they opened, it was my mom and my dad before they got divorced a few years ago. Then my mom became a pastor, and now she lives in Mexico enjoying her life. And then my dad's here retired. But yeah, it's getting and living in a hospital. It's uh, you find a lot of different stories, a lot of different backgrounds. I'm happy to tell you that my hospital one has been like one of those hospitals that many of the most important veterinarians right now in Ecuador, they have been with us for a couple of years, and now they have moved to open their own hospitals, or they have moved and study, and now they're specialists somewhere else here also in the country, but some others have moved to other countries. So yeah, to be honest, the biggest thing that I could see when I was small and a baby growing up in the hospital is that struggle of working with people. Trying to figure out the correct way to work with people, and that's something that I learned, and that's something that I'm trying to also push to push myself to try to work better with them, try to build a really strong team, and if I see them happy, I know the rest is gonna come by the side.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Um, so what is the story that it's something that you just can't make up? What is your party story that everyone needs to listen to?
Okay, the party story that somebody that they cannot that I can tell you. Okay, so here's the funny story. So the hospital was built in a 50s house. Okay, so it was a long time ago that the house that we had the house, and we start building the hospital in that house. We started to grow. We had a big backyard, so we were able to grow it to the back. But suddenly, we started to hear that the doctors at night, that the ones that the residents that stay at night, they will start to hear some funny sounds or weird sounds, or see some lights turn on, turn off, and they didn't know actually
No,
what's going on. So
no. So, okay, you're going, yep.
I'm going to tell you this story. It's a funny story because it's actually from one of our oldest doctors. He was with us 14 years. So believe me that if he tells me that, I'm gonna be like, yeah. If this doctor tells me that story, I'm gonna believe him. Like it's not gonna be bullshit. It's gonna be real. So this doctor one night calls us and he's like, yeah, hey, I need to tell you something. Yeah, of course, tell us. So yesterday something weird happened. So a guy, he rang the bell of the hospital. I opened, and it was this really tall guy. He was dressed in white, and he brought a schnauzer with me. And I really don't remember what the schnauzer had for some reason, but I remember clearly that I hospitalized the schnauzer and I put him into a cage. Later that same day, at the 3 hours after, he came down to see the dog, and there was no dog. So he strongly believes that he hospitalized the schnauzer of the ghost, and that's one of the stories that they're always into the count. Like the new residents always come and they're like, hey, here's a ghost here. Like probably he can bring your schnauzer to you so you can get hospitalized. You can also hospitalize his schnauzer. So yeah, it's one
So
of those
the
stories.
the
They're both ghosts. Yeah. So we of course he couldn't find any information of the dog in the system or in papers or anything, cameras. But he really believed, and like he his mind and everything, he remembered the guy and how he hospitalized the schnauzer. There was no schnauzer. So it's one of
is he the only person on that day? That
yeah, on that night, for some reason, we normally always have two. That night, he was alone. And yeah, we couldn't find any recording or anything about the schnauzer being hospitalized. And then, of course, some of the doctors, of course, they're still always this tradition when they call and they tell you this story, and they're always a little bit, yeah, and I heard this, and then this light turned on, and this light turned off. So yeah, that's a little bit of the funny story that we still have running on in the hospital.
so what's come out to be a vet story has turned out to be somewhat maybe a murder mystery that hasn't been solved.
Yeah, we try to figure it out what was going on. We asked like the past owners of the home what was it there, and they say that there was a doctor. That's why that he's on white. He's
Yeah.
always white. It was a doctor that lived there before. We kind of think
Okay.
that we're going from. That's what's happening over there. So yeah, it's still in there. Like sometimes you can hear them, or they say they can hear them. To be honest, as I told you, like I slept there. I've been there all my life. I've never had the chance to meet him or see his schnauzer, but if they say he exists, probably he exists.
So do you tell any new people that this is what's happening before they come in, or they just be quiet and then they just find out for themselves?
The good thing is that between like the new residents, they will be the ones who they're gonna be telling the story. So I know that part of their training is telling the story that this might be able to happen.
As
You know,
as part of the onboarding, you must tell this story.
oh,
You
you
must
must
hear this story.
story so they can be ready to see whatever happens at night.
Well, you could be attracting some unique candidates in that way. You need some unique team members. They love this stuff. They thrive on it.
They prefer to sleep. That one of our doctors, she will. We have two dogs that are our pets that we rescue them, and they're our pets at the hospital. We had
Yeah.
two doctors that they couldn't sleep if they were not like hugging the doctors because they were afraid for some reason. So they always needed to have the dogs with them hugging. So yeah, some of them were really afraid. Nothing happened to them or anything, or nothing weird really happened. Just that big story, and then the little on and offs of the lights. But yeah, that's something that we have been going on for 25 years that we have still remember that story.
That's awesome. That's crazy, but awesome at the same time. I can tell you some of my members, a good half would be like, nope, fuck that. The next one would be like, yeah, I'm there. They're morbid like that sometimes. So it's
Some don't even care. Like some they don't even bother about knowing the story, but others do. And then when something like really like funny happens to them about the lights or whatever, that's when they're like, yeah, probably something's going on.
that's crazy. That's awesome. That is an awesome story. I love that story. But this is what this podcast is about. It's giving us a little story behind your days in VetMed. Someone wants to reach out to you. What's going on in your world? What new things is happening in your world? Are you speaking anywhere? Are you presenting?
Well, I'm a speaker also in different countries in Latin America. I talk about the management part a lot. I also do consulting for different hospitals here in Latin America. I work with hospitals in Peru and Colombia, in Mexico. I go and give talks in also in Colombia, in Mexico, and different countries here. That's a new aspect of my profession that has arrived to me now. It just started a year ago, but now it's been awesome to also to teach other people in other hospitals how to operate and run their hospitals more smoothly. I was just telling you before we started the recording that Latin America, it's a different monster because you always work with handicaps. You're always a handicap. In what sense? For example, all these 2 months, like these past 2 months, we have been having electricity issues here in Ecuador.
Yes.
So for example, we have been having 10 to 14 hours of shutdown each day. So we had to run with generators. Of course,
Right.
not all our generators, of course, they last, but then we're not able to work on a full capacity. So of course, you work differently. Now you have political issues, economical issues, natural disasters. So it's really hard to work in Latin America because you're fighting not just against the market, you're fighting also against all these political, economical, and natural situations that can change your environment really quickly. So it's not
Mm.
easy to be a manager or a business owner in Latin America. That's the fun part, I think, that we have, that we're able to see and solve different problems because we need to fight against other animals.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I understand that. How can people reach out to you? Do you have an email website that you can
Of
throw out?
course, they can reach me by LinkedIn. They can see my LinkedIn as Esteban Sotomayor. They can reach me by Facebook, that I'm also as Esteban David Sotomayor.
We'll
On
put the
Instagram,
link in the show notes. Don't worry.
yeah, I'll send it to you because it's long. Of course, my last
It
name
will.
is really whenever I need to write it down, it's messy. But yeah, I can share you the links for anyone that wants to reach me out for anything that they want to know. Like, of course, Latin America is a different breed. We have different ways of working. We don't have technicians, so it's harder for us. The pet does everything, the full job. So it's different how we work here. So I think there's a lot of things that people from other parts of the world can learn from the way that we work.
Right. Awesome. Mate, Esteban, pleasure. Thank you so much for being my very first guest on the podcast. Hopefully, we get you back some more with more stories. But I thank you very much for joining me today.
Perfect. Thank you, Rai. I appreciate your time. Hi to everybody.
Thanks, bud. And thanks for joining us today. That's all we have time for. If you're tired of being a business operator and want to be a business owner, give me a call. If you have heard of Traction, EOS, Lean, 4DX, all these other systems out there, they're all great systems, but none of them are vet specific. I have taken the best of every system, rebuilt them using our industry KPI standards and your practice core metrics, because every practice is different. I will bring your vision to life, get your team bought in and aligned to your long-term goals. I will systemize your practice so you can have more time doing what you love to do. Stop having people rely on you. Let's take the pain away from being a business operator and move into the business owner category. If this interests you and excites you, go to my website, www.ivmsolutions.org. Until next time, take care.